I love that there are so many different relationship formulas now, and ways people feel like they're being authentic to themselves. I always just reiterate, and kind of what you keep saying is finding out the right what truly is driving you. Is it just like, hey, I'm being non-monogamous because it's being driven by, I came from a broken home and I just know that monogamy isn't a real thing. And so that, or is it truly like, I truly have love for multiple people. And I'm truly being driven by that intention. It is tough in this world because I think people just want things to go their way. And sometimes we're coming up with formulas that actually add more drama to people's lives. I mean, we've had tons of people, and I fully support ethical non-monogamy and all of that. But we've had people come on the show who practice that and have always said that their lives are full of drama. And I'm like, why do you do it then? So I do think, and I love the point of like really going to the core of what is driving you.
Yeah.
I just really think that that's a key element to awareness, not just going against the grain, but doing it because you truly have thought about it and done some introspection and figured out what's driving you.
Yeah, and just recognizing that they're really, I like using the analogy of fitness, and it's like, if you want to lose weight, it's simple. You consume less calories than you burn. Simple doesn't mean easy, right? Now, we live in a society where it's very difficult to consume less calories than we burn. Most of us sit when we work, not a lot of options for exercise, a lot of processed food. So it's more challenging. It was a lot easier 100 years ago to consume less calories than you burn. Okay? So just have some grace there. And then because of that, we've created alternatives. We've created liposuction. We've created filters. We've created all these different things. So it's not about judging that these alternatives exist. It's recognizing that it gets harder. Some people can still do it. Some people go overboard and do keto and all this type of stuff temporarily, and then they gain the weight back or whatever. But it's possible to do. I view the same thing as with monogamy. There's a beauty to being in a monogamous swan relationship. I use the term swan because, swans mate for life. But I'm talking about that deep monogamy where they've done studies and they show these old couples, and there's actually scientific support that when you're in a deep monogamous relationship, it actually makes other people less attractive, actually makes them less attractive. And you can actually get that honeymoon feeling seeing your partner even after 10 years. There's a depth there. That's not monogamy. That's swan monogamy. That's doing the work. Do I believe that could happen in New York City? I don't think so. I think two people living in the middle of nowhere. So while they're forming their connection, don't have outside distractions. Maybe they don't even have internet. I think they're like, that's their likelihood is there. So that's the deep, it's simple, but it's hard, So now what we have is with a lot of this ethical non-monogamy, I view that as the liposuction, the filters, all of that. These are alternatives because it's just hard. The first piece of advice I got in New York is the best way to date in New York is to have 8 girlfriends, and it's this kind of concept, like everybody's busy. Everybody has prioritized their career or just the idea of making enough money to pay their rent and keep their lips above water, that they're going to work hard, then they're going to play hard. And you're going to get them one Friday a month or whatever. So now everybody's seeing everybody and it's a whole different thing. And there's a beauty to that in the concept of it's not a societal rule. It seems like a natural progression of what a place that has 11 million people would do, And so it's more like, okay, if you want to go back to the old school stuff, go somewhere that feels old school. Go to a smaller town. Go to a place that has 10,000 people, and your chances of a wandering eye won't be there. Your chances of daily stress impacting your relationship won't be there. It'll be a completely different situation. But I think there just has to be a recognition that these ideas were made by people who never could have conceived what Wi-Fi is, what Instagram is, what dopamine addiction is, what hyperanxiety is. They didn't realize this world. And we're trying to honor these ideas that they came up with.
Do you think that there is room? I lived in New York, and I know I used to tell everybody all the time, monogamy is not a thing in New York. It's just not, it's not a thing. But it's also a culture of people who are so invested in work. Yeah. I was also that person. And there isn't a lot of self-awareness. There are a lot of people who do therapy, but that still doesn't mean you're aware. A lot of people go to therapy just to vent out to somebody that, hey, this is my problem, but they don't actually do the homework and the things it takes to enlist change. Yeah. Because I can say, as somebody who was a hard commitment phobe, who really openly, I fucked a lot of people, I did my fun, I had my time in New York, I was wilding out all the time. It was great. I had the best time, but I was not fulfilled. And I knew that deep inside, but I was just like, this is still fun. And I honestly just didn't care. Mm-hmm. And after a point, there came a point where I was like, oh, fuck. I just feel unfulfilled. It wasn't even like I feel empty. Yeah. It's not one of those like, I feel dead inside. I just was like, oh shit, this actually isn't enough anymore. I was like, fuck. Yeah. And then I had to go, then therapy took like a different turn for me where I really started doing the work, which got me to face a lot of negative emotions, like really figuring out what was driving me, answering a lot of things I didn't want to answer before. Yeah. Like, was I addicted to chaos? Who's the only constant in my life? It was me. Doing all of that. And then I can say like, my attachment style definitely changed. We've actually had a therapist on who did attachment, and she's been on multiple times. And I can say, as a person, like, I have grown a lot. Not perfect, not, there, but much improved to a point that all of those other things that I used to partake in, I don't feel like I'm missing out anymore. Yeah. Because I did it. I had my fun. I did my thing. But like now I was like, oh, I actually want something more. Yeah. And so I do think, that was my long-winded way of saying, I do think it is possible in New York, but it requires people. I think it's possible anywhere in the world. And I think the opposite is also possible. You can be in buckfuck nowhere with 10,000 people and be completely unaware and choose to live a shitty life that treats people like shit. You're going to do that. Yeah. But you can also choose in all the noise to go like, I can see the noise and not be the noise.
Yeah, completely. And I think that key word is intention, right? Yes. So I think, as I said, like, the New York's not going to make it easy to be in a monogamous swan relationship, versus being in bumfuck Idaho, right? Or middle of Montana, where it's just you and your partner. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's in that concept, it's not going to make it easy. But if you're intentional, you're like, this is what matters. And I think that's the big thing right now. Is like, anybody out there, if you're what you're looking for, be very intentional for it. I think, a big conversation I have with my friends out here is they want a partner, but they're also, in the meantime, they're okay having fun. And the question is you're having fun sabotaging the partner? Should you be like saying no to everybody who is not a compatible long-term match and holding out for someone who is compatible? Versus simply being like, no, okay, well, she ain't the one, but she's here right now. And then I'm going to have some fun with her and create a bunch of chaos with her until my soulmate just magically arrives. And we just have to recognize, like, the relationships we build are more important than the relationships we have. And that requires intention. And anything you build requires a lot of unsexy repetition, practice, uncomfortable conversations, and all of that. And it's got to be extremely intentional. It's not diamond rings. It's not trips to Paris. It's not all these gestures of romance once a month to make up for the other 28 days that are shit. And so I think from that standpoint, it's the intentionality of it. And again, we've all, we outside of relationships, again, and I like using analogies outside the relationships just to show that this is normal human behavior. Like, we all will go out for food that we know is going to make us feel like trash a few hours later. And sometimes we kind of budget for it. We're like, all right, cool. I really want this food. tomorrow's going to suck, or I'm going to go out and drink my ass off. Tomorrow's going to suck, but I'm going to take work off and I'm going to have a quiet day and close my blinds. And I am owning the consequences of these actions. And I think, when you were enjoying your non-monogamy, you were owning the consequences of the actions. Till you got to a point where, all right, I think I'm done with this. Now it's time to make a decision that I think eat a little bit healthier, choose nutritious over delicious, choose long-term gratification over short-term gratification, and good things happen with that, But again, as I said, like that I guess the way I look at it is like, if you're on a diet, you don't live in a candy store, like the diet starts in the grocery store and what's in your kitchen. And I think I look at it from the same way with this, where it's like, if you really want to have that, you need to optimize your choices, your life, and your environment to have it.
I hope you guys enjoyed that video and check out our next one. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to this channel for more amazing dating, love, and relationship advice from me and so many expert guests. Follow us on socials. We're at Kinda Dating across the board. I'm Natasha Chandel, so you can find me too if you like. And join our newsletter on www.kindadating.com for lots of exclusives. See you soon.